Hey everybody, welcome back. This is the first section on files. In this section, I'm going to show you how to read from a file. So reading from a file in Python is actually pretty easy, but there are a lot of different ways you can actually do it. So I'm going to start off with the basics, and we're going to do that, of course, by starting with a file. So I made a text file that's in the same directory as my Python file. So here I got files1.py and I got text.txt, and as long as they're in the same file, we don't have to do anything special to try to find the file by using, the path to where it's located. But this txt file, text file, is just this. So you can put any text you want in there. Please don't try to type this out. Just go find a chunk of text or just bang on your keyboard for, 30 seconds and do it on a couple different lines. So this is the file I pulled off, just a paragraph off the internet. Now, when you create this file, you don't actually have to call it .txt. You can call it anything you want as long as it's saved in a plain text format. So if you go into, a normal writing program like Word or something like that, or WPS, and you type your file and you save it, it doesn't save as a text file. It usually saves as like a ODT file in LibreOffice, or .docx or .doc in Word or something like that. And we don't want those files. We want a text file. Okay, so make sure it's saved, and then when you're done, come back over here and let's get started. So when we open a file, we open it by creating a file handle object. And the file handle object is created using open. And we give the open function here the name of the file we want, and then we give it a second parameter which tells it the mode that we're opening in. So this mode means read. R means read. We're reading the file. That means this file handle can access this file by reading from it. It can't write, it can't do anything at all. And when it accesses this file, it starts right here at the very first L. And as it goes through, it'll go through to the very end. And if I want to go back to the start, I can either close and reopen the file, or I can do something else to reset it back to the start. But when it's a plain text file, it's just starting at the beginning and it's planning to go all the way through the file. Okay, so let's see that. Let's see what we can do with that. So the first thing I want to show you with file handle is the read method. And the read method takes, well, I think you'll figure it out here in just a second. Let me go ahead and do this, and I'll run this. You notice that it takes the first 4 characters of the file. So it takes all the way up there. Now you're going to notice that if I take this and I run it again, it doesn't give me the first 4 anymore. It actually gives me the next 4. So it's giving me these right here. Okay? And if I did this again and again, it would actually keep taking the next few letters of the file until all the way to the end. So the file handle, as I said before, when you open it, it starts at the beginning, and every action you do to read will move that file handle down further and further in the file. Alright, so read just takes a certain number of characters, however many characters you give it. Now if I give it 1,000 characters, it will read all the way to the end of my file, and then I'm done. I can't read anymore. Alright, so what else can you do? Well, read is nice, but we usually don't want to read by character. We usually want to read by line, one at a time. So let's say I run this, I get 1 line, and I copy this, and I get another line. And now you're noticing something weird, because in the last one, when I read all the lines in the file, there were no spaces. And here, there are no spaces. So what's going on? Well, if you remember, print line does something every time it prints a line. It adds a new line character, so it shuffles to the next line. But all of these lines, the end of them, there's actually a new line character at the end of each one of these already. That's how I got to the next line. When I went through and I'm typing and I hit enter, it puts a character here at the end that says go to the next line. You just don't see it because there's no reason for you to see that in a text editor. So this file has a new line, and when you print, you're adding another new line on top of that. So that's how you get this space here. Thankfully, there is a nice way to fix that. You can use this thing called strip, and strip will take out any character at the end of your line that you don't want. Now the default is new line, but you could also have tabs, or like a tab, or you could put new line in here just to let people know. You could also put strip off white space, or you could have it strip off a period, or you could have it strip off pretty much anything you want at the end. But the default strip is just for stripping off the new line character. And actually you can do it like this if you really feel like it. You can come up here and you can do strip, and then it'll pull off that line. So notice I have file.readline.strip. So you don't need to put it in here if you don't want to. Alright, so what other ways can we actually read from this file? Well, let's say I want to loop through the file and I want to print out every line. The easy way to do that would be to say for line in file handle print line. And I do this, and of course, as you see, I still got my white extra line here, the extra space. So I put strip, and it will clean that up for me. So this is pretty easy. Just pull one line out of all of the files, or out of all the lines in the file. Pull one line out at a time, loop through, and you're done. The problem with this is sometimes when you do it in this way, you forget to do the next very important thing, which is filehandle.close. And though this doesn't do anything to actually change the output of my code here, when you don't close your file handle in a program, it leaves you open to things like memory leaks, or it leaves you open to the program hanging. Like you may have gotten error sometimes saying that you can't close this because it's currently opened in another window. Well, if you open a file and your file handle is attached to that file, and then you open another program and you try to open that same file, it might complain that your program is already using that file. But maybe in that program you have already stopped opening the file, and you're like, well, why isn't it working? And it's probably because the programmer forgot to close the file handle somewhere. So closing the file handle is really important at the end. So just remember to close it if you're using this method of opening a file. Okay, for whatever reason, if you're using this one, use this. Now, thankfully, there's another way of opening a file that is a little bit different, and it will automatically close the file for you. So actually, I'm going to leave this open here. Okay, and then I'm going to show you the second way of doing the exact same thing. So I'm going to print this little divider paragraphs here, and I'm going to say with open txt.text read as file handle. Okay, and then I'm going to say the next function. Oh, the next function I do want to show you is this then. So we're going to say lines equal file handle dot read lines. So we have read line, but we also have read lines, which reads all the lines of the file. And now if I can just print lines, okay, we run this, and you notice that this time it's actually going to be printed out as a list of all the possible lines. So this right here, read lines, gives you a list object with all the lines, and then you can see right here, you can actually see the new lines that are stuck on the end of each of your lines. So this is your first string right here. This is the first line right here, and there's a new line character there, and here you can actually see it. But we don't really like that. We probably want to print out the lines one at a time. So I would say for line in lines, print line, and then we get, whoops, I do need to strip it out, similar text. Okay, so there you go. Text is the same. This is a little bit different way of doing it, and you can actually shorten it to this. So you can shorten this to this, and I can get rid of this one, and now I have 3 lines as opposed to 4 before. So if you're looking just to print out a file, or you're looking to put it into a list of items so you can manipulate it in some way, then what I recommend is using the with method, because you don't have to remember to use .close. It automatically closes for you when you're outside of with. Okay, so that's an important difference. This is the Pythonic way of opening a file. This is just another way of opening a file. Neither way is necessarily better or wrong. This way is just preferred because it usually leads to safer and cleaner code. All right, and I use this way 99% of the time. I can't remember the last time I actually used this first method, though this method might make more sense to you. Okay, because it explicitly says close and all that. All right, so that's the basics of opening a file and reading from it. And just remember, the important thing is the file handle moves through the file each time you open it, and when it's done, well, it's at the end of your file and you can't keep reading anymore. So you either need to reopen the file to go through it again, or you can actually reset it back to the start of the file. And I'll show you how to do that in a video coming up. Okay, so if you have questions about opening a file, please leave them in the YouTube comments or elsewhere, and I'll get back to you.